If your goal is to never ever again to feel shame in your life, I have a bad news for you. Because shame is a biological reaction when we are pushing away part of ourselves that we perceive is unwanted by society or people around us. And so what we try to do is, by pushing it away, to blend in, to be accepted. So in this way, shame serves us like a self-checking mechanism, so we meet the need of belonging, connection, and validation. In this way, we feel that we are more in control. When someone disapproves us, our action, what we choose to do often is to push that part of us away, and we act defensive, or we deflect our shame back to that person. And you can also recognize shame because it comes with a physical sensation, a feeling in the body. And shame is not something that we'll be ever able to completely get rid of, just like the biological reaction of fear. Now, what we can do is we can start to remove shame around certain parts of us that were rejected in our childhood by other people, and then later on by ourselves. And we have to understand that the more we try to get rid of it, not feel it, the more we are pushing away a part of ourselves and actually abandoning ourselves, thus creating even more resistance. And in other words, it creates even bigger shadow that will leak out in different ways and forms. And the math is pretty clear. The more aspects we decided to push away, the less authentic we are living in this life and behaving. And there are actually people that have rejected majority of themselves, who they truly are. These people are pretending to be completely someone else that they're not. Now, pretending to be someone else comes with meeting other people's certain standards, or the shoulds. You should be doing that, this, that, da 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 da. And these standards or shoulds, they're dependent on these people's values and needs. And there are moments in our life when we fail to meet other people's standards, and we feel ashamed. We feel shame. I mean, there are many, many examples. And one example that comes up in my mind is, let's say, a guy is interested in dating, and he meets this girl, he likes her, but then he finds out that she's actually interested in like dating 6'5", not shorter guys, let's say. But he's way shorter than that. I feel shame. It's like, wow, yeah, I'm not that tall. And you know, you can always have a discussion how surface level these standards might be or not, but that's for another time. What I want you to remember is that no matter what you do in this life, there's gonna be people who will praise you for that, and there's also gonna be people who will attack you and criticize you and think that you're stupid, what you did. For one guy, you might be a hero, an inspiration. For another, You might be a retard. It is what it is. So, if you are in a wrong place, among wrong people, guess what? You will not be valued for your authentic gifts and talents that you have. You will not be valued for that. You will only be valued if you do certain things for certain people, thus meeting their certain needs and expectations. But that can quickly drain you and even burn you out and create even long-term health problems if that is not your way, how you came here to express yourself and truly live. So what a lot of people are finding themselves in is in the wrong context, meaning that they are not compatible with their environment, the place, and the people that they are surrounded by. So one way what we can do is to change our social circle, our environment. And we need to learn, get good at discerning, filtering out the right environment and people for us so that our core authentic needs will be in alignment with this environment and these people. If we find ourselves in the misaligned environment, we automatically lose. This is why environment matters so much. And I don't mean to go and look for people and places that will enable your toxic patterns, which will be then reframed as, oh, this is the healthy thing. Yeah. I'm sure all of us have witnessed and seen that there are certain groups of people in this world who do exactly that to avoid their own pain and shadow, and they try to control everything around them. Yeah. Force everyone in their own inverted realities. So this is the way to work with our shame, not from a place of I don't want to ever experience you again and get away, but from a place of integrating your own core authentic needs. Now, I just mentioned the example how when we are in a wrong environment can impact us negatively. But the opposite is also true. If we find ourselves in the right environment, among right people, you will be cherished, loved, and valued for who you are. And the parts that you felt ashamed of in the past, being surrounded by other people, will be accepted in the right environment. Now, typically what a lot of people try to do with shame, they try to avoid it. When they feel it, they try to deflect it, to project it upon other people, blame other people. Something happens, it's his fault, it's your fault. And other people do the same back to us. This is how typically the arguments happen. When person who feels uncomfortable about his own shame, he's better like, no, I'm gonna direct that to the other guy. I don't want to deal with that. And the other guy does that back to us. And this happens especially when we feel that we are incapable of doing something or meeting someone's need. Then we often view the other person as the guilty, or that there is something wrong with them for having this need. So yeah, people avoid their own shame by shaming others. Not an empowering and responsible state to be in, if you ask me. Now, instead of avoiding certain aspects of us that we feel ashamed of, what we can do instead is we can find a positive upside to this aspect. In other words, the highest exalted form, how this aspect can be expressed in our life. And then we exactly express it in that way. Yeah. It's like an alchemy. An example would be that, let's say, a person is very stubborn. It's really difficult to speak with him, reach certain agreements. The person wants often his things in his way. His way is the only way often. And so it leaves almost no room for flexibility, perhaps, or taking in another perspective. And thus, again, there is a higher risk for confrontations and conflicts to occur. So typically, this is not like a really helpful and healthy expression of certain aspect of ourselves. But then we can start to look what's the positive in all of this. Perhaps we can see that, oh, well, if he's a stubborn, he has a strong will. He might have a strong focus, commitment, dedication, perhaps a very powerful vision in the world. Yeah. Leadership qualities are also there, an authority. He's very passionate about certain things. So you see that these are like healthy alternatives, how certain aspect of ours can be expressed. And this is with all aspects there. It's like a spectrum. There's like more like darker ways how to express that, and more like lighter ways, let's say. So in this example, stubbornness can be expressed in a more healthy way without needing to alienate or push others away. Now, when we learn how to alchemize certain, let's say, unwanted aspects of ourselves into more positive expressions, this often also allows us to resolve certain problems, because certain problems arise when we try to push away certain unwanted aspects that we feel ashamed of. So through exaltation, it helps us to resolve resistance around certain parts of us. Let me know in the comments what was the biggest insight for you regarding shame and how to approach shame, and how you're going to apply it in your own life.